Hello. My name is Ines. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is where we safely feel the feels. I just ran up the stairs, so I'm a little bit out of breath, but I started recording anyways. Okay. Today I want to talk about shadow work. I have been doing pretty intense shadow work for the past 2 years. And I'm going to give you a little bit of background on why I decided to do it so intensely. My background with shadow work, I've always done shadow work without quite realizing it. Shadow work to me is being aware of all of your emotions, including your flaws. Growing up, I was very self-aware. I was able to talk to my emotions, which I thought made me crazy until I talked to a therapist, and they're like, no, that just means you know how to process your emotions and you are aware and self-aware of these emotions. So when society calls you crazy, sometimes therapists and the people that are actually supposed to dictate if you're crazy or not consider you intelligent. So whatever it is that you are going through, that you're thinking, just know that while some people might disagree with it, there are other people who might actually think this is very good of you. Anyways, I got into really bad depression when I was in Toronto, and a big part of it was my awakening, my PTSD hitting me, remembering some past lives, transmuting energy, so like my spiritual stuff. My PTSD from this life is more because I am a war child, and there's a lot of stuff that I held on to from that put me into a bigger depression. And then going through the awakening and going through my spiritual psychic abilities and gifts, that sent me like way over the edge. On top of that, I was also going through spiritual attack. I didn't realize that then, but it is something that I've come to realize now. So shadow work has everything involved in it, in my opinion. Shadow work is being aware of your flaws, being aware of the absolute worst about yourself, and finding a way to make it work for you. Some of my examples is anger. And I have been able to channel my irritation, my anger, my frustration into sacred rage. And that sacred rage allows me to feel more empowered, to stand my ground, to feel more confident, and to have a healthy ego. My ego hasn't been the healthiest. I have a people-pleasing, weak ego. And it really got that way through the spiritual attacks and through the depression. I became more of a people pleaser. Because of the hardships that I went through internally, emotionally, mentally, and physically, this was all brought out in the physical form, and I'll talk about that later. But because of the hardships that I went through, I just wanted to give up. Like, I literally was like, I cannot do this anymore. It's too much. No human should go through this much pain, especially without realizing or understanding or knowing why we're in this much pain. And shadow work is hard. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you guys. It is work. It is going to take you out. You are going to be on bed rest. Any type of emotional and mental healing and processing, especially with our society that doesn't allow us room to even think for ourselves, let alone have time to process and heal these emotions. You're going to feel lazy for taking a nap just to work these emotions out. I want to come back to the physical aspect. Your physical health does end up taking a hit when you have suppressed emotions and when you are going through battling nasty shadow thoughts, whether they're your own or sent from somebody else through evil eye, spiritual attacks, whatever the case might be. It will come out in your physical response. So for me, for example, having all of these emotions that I held onto that I didn't know what to do with, and in my head I was thinking, well, if I just don't pay attention, then it won't make it this big deal, therefore it won't necessarily exist, it'll just go away. That is false information. Okay, so to everybody that's been following the love and light community and they tell you to stay away from anger, at some point it is going to come back. For me, it came back to me in a physical form where I literally I was having so much muscle tension that I ended up going on medication just to allow my body to relax. Like, I was so stressed out. I've got these permanent lines. I carry a lot. It actually looks really good right now, I'm not gonna lie. But I carry a lot of stress in my eyes, so I was like this for literally 10 years. And that is a type of muscle tension that exists in physical form or manifests itself in physical form because of suppressed stress, worry, and shadow emotions. Back to the actual shadow work. The point of shadow work is to sit there, whether in meditation and journaling, and to process your emotions and to talk to your shadow thoughts and to understand what is yours and what is somebody else's. Our society has its own shadow thoughts because of the way that they want us to push through things, the hustle culture, get up and work, be a part of society. Those are actually all creating shadow thoughts within ourselves. So for example, when we take some time to meditate, to go to therapy, to listen to our therapist and take some rest, to listen to our doctors when they say drink water, eat healthy, and get some rest, society doesn't allow us to do that. So then these thoughts of, well, we're lazy, we're not a productive part of society, these are shadow thoughts that society creates and quite literally attacks us with. So spiritual and psychic attacks aren't necessarily just somebody like being a witch and sending you stuff. It's quite literally going against the natural biosystem of the human design. And therapy, especially that we get more into talking about therapy and people's experiences, and I'm seeing a huge difference from just like 2 years ago, let alone 10 years ago. 10 years ago, the idea of going to a therapist was very much like, you only go to a therapist if you're crazy or if you have some severe mental issues. So for me to think I had PTSD from being a war child, even though these memories were like literally keeping me up at night, and I had so much pain from losing family and from just seeing death, so much death and so much violence and aggression at such a young age, I didn't realize how detrimental it was to my health until like 2 years ago. And 10 years ago, for me to even think I have PTSD was like, no, I'm not a soldier. I wasn't in the war. Like, I'm very grateful and lucky for what I was dealt, because it could have been so much worse, because I've witnessed people going through so much worse. So this idea of now we're understanding more through each other's therapy and like basic therapy how messed up life really is. So shadow work, along with therapy, however you decide to do it, it's your discretion. It is your soul, your spirit, your emotion, your mental health. We are just here to tell our stories and to share tidbits that it might help somebody else. Maybe it'll encourage you to have more faith in yourself, to have more confidence. But shadow work is sitting with yourself and your emotions. I just released a visual exercise or like a visual meditation that allows you to actually kind of sit there and assess these. But until you're able to sit there and be like, I am angry because I get more angry when I like being angry because of this, I hate being angry because of this, I wish instead of anger I could do this. When you say instead of anger I want this, that is transmuting energy, but it takes time. So in order for you to properly transmute your shadow emotions into something beneficial, you have to sit there and talk to it and be present with it. Similar to inner child healing or inner teen healing, being present with your inner self is what transmuting, healing, processing shadow work is. I feel like a lot of people are afraid of shadow work because they're afraid to face their flaws, but your flaws are also there for a reason. You don't necessarily know what your light and your good is until your shadows show you. I do feel like a lot of people can get stuck in paying too much attention to their shadows and almost giving like too much weight or too much energy in them, and then that can put you in a self-victimization mode. Me, just this past weekend, I wanted to do like all these little things for creativity, especially because it was the new moon. And I was just so angry and bitter, and I was angry at the universe because I was like, I thought I was done with shadow work. I don't want to do this anymore. But now I'm realizing, like, okay, so that was beneficial because it made me realize these emotions and what I would have rather been doing. So even though I was sitting in these emotions, I was processing them and understanding more of what I wish I had felt instead. And now, like a week later, I am doing those things. So on last Thursday, I started very bitter, very angry, very irritated. I was getting more mad at myself for going through those emotions and putting myself in self-victimization. And then as I processed, as the days went on, as I sat with myself, as I accepted those shadows of myself, I found myself becoming stronger, more confident, putting my foot down and standing up for myself more. And then like today, we are on Friday, so it's been like almost literally exactly a week. Now I am literally spending my days how I wanted to spend my days then while I was going through shadow work. So whenever you do any sort of healing and processing, it is not instant. Manifestation, it is not instant. It doesn't happen just like that. It takes time. So allow yourself to take the time. And I get it. Healing is a privilege. I have an episode about that. So if you want to have a little bit more compassion about the fact that you still have to participate in society because bills have to get paid, I am very compassionate towards that. I find myself very privileged to be able to take the time to heal, to be able to listen to what my body needs and then do it. Not a lot of people get that. So this is me letting you know that any moment, even if it's 10 minutes of the day, which some don't even have the privilege for, even if it's 10 minutes of the day that you can take to just breathe and be by yourself and be in your mind and be able to talk to your emotions, I am proud of you. If you are struggling with something and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna face this, I am proud of you. And shadow work is hard. It'll kick your ass at some point. It'll make you cry, but it'll make you so much stronger. Every tear you shed is like more power that you get. So when you're going through the bad emotions, when you're going through self-victimization, when you feel like there's nobody that's out there that's listening to you, there's nobody that's there for you, you feel alone, I want you to know that I've been there, and sometimes for a very long time, and I got out of it, and you can too, and you will. You just have to remember that all of the bad that you feel is so that the good can come in. So feel it, let it go, and receive your new self. I have a few episodes on visual meditations and transmuting energy and a few tips. So if you guys ever need anything, any extra support, let me know in the comments. And I feel like my topics can be very broad. So if you want anything specific, let me know. And I'm going to be, for the rest of February, I'm going to be talking more about shadow work in the form of self-love and self-care. I'm very much all about duality, and you can't have the good without experiencing the bad. And a lot of the times, until we experience the bad, we don't recognize the good. So for me, for example, I've taken my creativity and I have taken my privilege of being able to heal for granted. So the shadow work I did last week really made me realize what I have to do, take the bull by the horns and get stuff done. So shadow work is actually, it's a blessing. I know that sounds insane, but it is actually a blessing. Healing, like the strongest people are the ones that have healed because they have gone through their own hell and they have come back stronger than ever before. I can go into a lot more metaphors, but I won't. And again, if you guys have any questions, definitely let me know. And at the end of this, feel free to take a screenshot. There's a few tips, a few things that have helped me. So I hope it helps you as well. And if there's anything that you found that helps you, that you think of right now during this episode that I haven't mentioned, let people know in the comments below. and help each other out. And that's it for now. Happy healing.